Family, father and son racing. We got Richie Latta and his Velocity, also Class 4. Those two guys were battling deck to deck in Seaside just 3 weeks ago.
And it looks like they're going to be doing the same today at the Velocity. Had a lead as they came by us here at race control, but it looks like Saris might be gaining some ground on the outside as they go into the first turn.
And yeah, we at the drivers' meeting this morning, we talked about how much of a close-knit family offshore racing is.
Yeah.
The Sarises actually build the motors for Richie Latta, who's their #1 competitor.
There you go.
And you know what? All the offshore racers, they just do anything and everything they can do to help each other out. I know one of the boats had a broken gimbal this morning. There were 3 teams wrenching away and helping them with those.
Yeah, they also do the engines for Class 5, the father and son team of Are You Faster, Team 518 that are out there. Third place finisher here last year in their very first offshore race ever.
And they actually won Seaside Heights last week, 3 weeks ago.
In the Class 5.
Yep.
So
And again, a father and son team, really cool.
And Tony, can you explain with the wind coming off the shore and the rollers coming in, how does that affect the roll of the boat and the air that the boat gets?
Well, first of all, as in offshore boat racing, any kind of boat racing, every lap is different, unlike a motorsport
Right.
On land. Every lap's going to be different. What the pilots of these boats have to do is try and keep the boats up on top of the waves. The length or the distance between these rollers is going to make that a little bit easier for them to do. I am not a great captain myself, which is why I'm up here talking about it and not out there racing. But it makes it a challenge. I mean, wind and wave conditions are the 2 biggest factors that they have to contend with. Water conditions and the wind. It's pretty rough out there just to look at it. If you watch the boats go by, they've got a lot of side-to-side action going on. It's going to be a lot of work out there for the drivers to keep the boats going on a straight line.
And of course, we're trying to keep them safe. We want to thank the Coast Guard, U.S. Coast Guard out there, and all the
New Jersey State Police,
Yep.
also out there assisting us today. And most of all, I mean, we are broadcasting.
Oh, we welcome our
All right.
live feed on the internet, joining us in progress here at the 2015 Atlantic City Veterans Offshore Grand Prix, the Roar at the Shore. We're about 2 laps into the first race action. We've got the Super V Light, Class 4, Class 5, and Class 7s. Class 7 classes racing right now. Today's presentation brought to you by Geico, Golden Nugget, Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, Do AC and Atlantic City Sports, Exit82.com, the Waypoint 622 Restaurant, and Hoffman's Marina are primary presenters for this event.
And let's thank Mother Nature. Without
Absolutely.
Mom up there, I'll tell you, she's parted ways with the clouds and the rain, and it's a beautiful, sunny, bit breezy day out here at the Atlantic City Offshore Powerboat Races. But I'll tell you guys, we got lucky.
Michael, well, yesterday when we said we were going to decide whether we were going to do this broadcast or
That's
not, at 12 o'clock it was a no, at 12:05 it was a maybe, then it was 1:30, get back to me, then 3 o'clock reconvene. I was at the volunteers meeting, you looking for me to make the decision, and finally last night we looked at the weather, we said, you know what, it's going to break by race time.
You know, as a radio broadcaster for more than 30 years, I have been unofficially trained to watch radar. And I can't tell you in 30 years how many times I've watched radar. I think I watched it more yesterday and overnight tonight, or last night, than anything else.
Class 7 getting some serious air coming across the start-finish line here.
These are 22-foot boats. They've got a single outboard up to 300 horsepower. Most of them are in the 250 range. Yeah, they're going to on a bit of a roller coaster ride here today. Talking about the forecast, Friday morning, there was a 90% chance of rain all day today. When I got up this morning around 6 a.m., it was foggy. I couldn't see across the marina. It was raining. It was pouring rain, and I figured I can go back to bed. We're not working today. And by 10 o'clock, it had broke, and by 11 o'clock, we started seeing some sunshine, and it's really amazing the way the weather turned, and we're able to get this race off.
I wish some of the spectators on the beach would have watched the weather a little bit more closely, but now they're starting to come out.
Spectators starting to come.
starting to build.
Well, after you get up in the morning, like I said, I figured the day was shot. When I looked outside and saw the volume of rain and saw the fog especially, we'll race in the rain, folks. As long as we can get a safety helicopter in the air, we're going to race.
Absolutely.
Exactly
If
what
we
people
can fly, we can race.
They were posting on Facebook. Well, yeah, the boats get wet. Yeah, they can, as long as there's no lightning. I think we're okay.
Right. It's all about safety, though, and we have to have the divers in the helicopters in case somebody does go over.
All right, I think we've got Typhoon and Super V Light. Still, his lead is closing. He's not leading as far as he was before.
So what do you attribute that?
Oh, wait, no, is that Typhoon? Yes, it is. It is
is.
Typhoon. It's Randy. He's running. He doesn't have anybody else in his class on his tail, but we do have 2 people in Class 4, which is a separate race going on at the same time. The Richie Latta and Team Saris just battling it out.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask Dave or Tony. You can answer this question. There are several classes racing at one time on the course, and like you just said, Typhoon has got nobody in his class behind him, but he's got another class of boats behind him.
Correct.
So they're racing their own race, and
Right.
they could even.
There's races going on within the same race.
There are multiple races, and today's schedule has been combined. It was combined yesterday because of the threatening weather.
Right.
We wanted to try and get the races off, so we made it into 2 races instead of 3.
Great.
All right, Class 5, we got Are You Faster in first place right now. Father and son team from Massachusetts. We got the national champion last year, Team Cisco 505, chasing them down hard. And we've got Repeat Offender, which is also in Class 5, right behind Are You Faster. And looks like he's gaining some.
Are You Faster, the big blue boat.
Yep. Looks like there's and here comes Was Up To the Smith boys, the sons of Ed Smith.
Nick and Tony Smith.
Yep, Nick and Anthony, and they're out there blasting. I mean, these guys have been racing for several years now, and they call that boat the Little Green Machine. The Green Machine, because that is one fast little boat.
They have
those guys.
Really nice disposition out there, boat disposition out there, really, for the water conditions and how small that boat is. They're looking pretty good.
Tony, between Anthony Smith, Anthony has run with his dad for many, many years. And he's run Super Cat with some of the big Super Cat teams. So, he's got, I can't even imagine, at least 300-400 races under his belt. Nick is the youngest son. He's been under the wing of Anthony, and between the 2 of them, they run that boat like a professional team does in Super Cat. They've got that boat so dialed in, it's not even funny.
Sure, the class is currently running. The Super V Light are running 7 laps for 40.5 miles. Class 4 is running 9 laps. They'll do 40.5 miles. Class 5 is running 7 laps at 31.5 miles. And then Class 7, they're running 5 laps for 22.5 miles, and it may not sound like a long distance, but 22.5 miles in a 22-foot boat with a single outboard on it in this kind of water is going to knock you around a bit.
It sure is. But you know what? These guys are handling it like champs. I'll tell you, it looks like it's starting to lay down a little bit. I don't know if it's just my eyes, but it looks like
it's just your eyes. It's not laying down any. You can tell. And if you look further out, you can't really judge on how they're crashing on the beach, but they're crashing real well on the beach. But as you look out between the cloud cover and the sun, those are still 2 to 4s out there that we've got rolling. But they are spread out. And I think that's what gives the appearance that it's laying down just a little bit. We have some secondary sponsors for the event that we want to mention as well, and the broadcast is courtesy of Atlantic County Harley-Davidson. We also have the Sheraton Atlantic City Hotel, the Steel Pier, that was instrumental in providing some great day activities for the Wounded Warriors yesterday. The Tropicana and TR Hotels, the Miss Geico Race Team, Beachcombers, B-Blades Professional Propellers, and CWR Electronics.
I'll tell you, I want to talk about CWR Electronics for a little bit. Yesterday we did the Wounded Warrior rides. Yeah. Those folks stepped up huge, financially backing yesterday. Awesome. And I'll tell you, I didn't meet those folks previously. They have an electronics, their CWR Electronics is an electronics wholesaler for the marine industry. And I had the privilege of meeting the father last night. Ryan, the son, unfortunately didn't have a chance to come, but I'll tell you, they were just so enthusiastic about wanting to be a part of that. And we just cannot thank them enough for their contributions to putting all the smiles on the veterans and their families' faces yesterday.
And of course, our friends over at Golden Nugget, man, what an absolute joy they are to work with. I mean, Tom Pullman and his staff and Kevin Skull, very instrumental in hosting all those parties that we had for the Wounded Warriors and their families, and of course all the racers. And I got to tell you, big kudos to that organization, and what an absolute phenomenal job they've done with that property since taking it over a few years ago. The marina is just second to none. I mean, where can you get a world-class casino, a marina that's 10 minutes off the ocean? I mean, literally out the marina, up the inlet, and boom, you're on the ocean. So
here comes some more Class 7 boats coming around. They are getting some huge air as they go by in front of us here.
Golden Nugget Marina, 650 slip marina,
yeah.
and we basically go in and take over while they still are open to their customers and their transient customers,
yep.
And they give us a big chunk of it, and the staff there is just phenomenal. Here come the Solomon father and son team, the big blue 551 boat.
Are you faster?
Boat. Are you faster?
Look at it. They are really pulling a lead on Team Cisco right now. Both Team Cisco and Are You Faster are 30-foot super boats built by John Cohen, who's been around for numerous years, racing as far back as the 80s and building super boat power boats out there on Long Island.
And guys, people that are new to boat racing in general, how big is the course? How many laps did they do?
Well, the course is a 2-mile straightaway, because the northern turn is over the Steel Pier, the southern turn is right behind us at the Tropicana. Then on the turns, you're looking about just about an eighth of a mile. So total, you're looking just around 4.25 miles for one total lap.
Okay, and how many laps did they do?
All depends on the class.
Each class does a different number of laps. The V-Lights run 7 laps for 40.5 miles. The Class 4 is running 9 laps for 40.5 miles. Class 5 is running 7 laps for 31.5 miles, and Class 7 is running 5 laps for 22.5 miles.
The physical toll that must take that kind of pounding on the drivers and the throttlemen must be unbelievable.
It's, people, there's this great debate in all motorsports about whether or not whether or not the drivers are athletes. They are every bit of athletes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a great fatigue on the body steering a car at 200 miles an hour,
sure.
or a boat at 80, 90, or 130 miles an hour. And the boat racing side, as you're seeing as these Class 7 boats go by, they take an incredible pounding. And I can tell you from being on Lake Erie a week ago in a poker run, your knees, your lower back, they tend to serve as shock absorbers in these boats during these race conditions. You get yourself beat up pretty good.
Wow. My back hurts for watching it. I can tell you that right now.
And a lot of these racers are in pretty good physical condition. Not all of them, of course. Some of them are old men like myself, and they, we let ourselves go. But a lot of the younger guys, especially, they take this very seriously, and they condition just like any other athlete.
Speaking of younger guys, what's the youngest driver out here? Do we know?
It might be E.J. Solomon in Are You Faster?
No, I believe it is Jay Muller and his son in Class 7. I believe his son is 16 years old.
Okay.
Wow. Fairly old enough to have a boater's license.
In a 22-foot race boat, Class 7 with a 250 outboard.
That is awesome.
It
How
is
about the
so
oldest
cool.
driver? Do we know who the oldest driver is?
Oldest
I'm going to let
driver.
you Mr. Chapno.
You know what? I think I'm going to refrain from commenting on that, just in the possibility I could get it wrong
First of all,
and
Michael,
highly insult someone.
Thank you.
And of course, everything's retro now, so it's not old; it's retro.
Yeah.
And as far as veteran drivers go, probably once we wrap up this race and we're waiting for the second race, we have Charlie Marks here. Charlie Marks, he's a legend in offshore racing, and the reason why he loved Atlantic City and so much is that this was one of his very first races, and he won his first national championship here when it was called Trump War on the Shore back in 1989. And we're honored to have him. We're going to bring him on in a little bit, give a little commentary about the memories he has, and he's been mingling with all the offshore racers today, and he's really been enjoying this. It's bringing back a lot of memories for Charlie.
I had a chance to sit down and talk to him yesterday, which was a personal thrill for me, and the stories and the memories, and a very humble man.
Very humble man.
And it was a whole lot of fun to get some of that history firsthand. You read about it. It's not quite the same as talking to the people who are there experiencing it for sure.
Dave, let's thank your volunteer team.
Because
I've eyewitnessed that team in absolutely worst conditions with the panic of no broadcast and no race today. But everybody's still doing their job like it was going to go off no matter what. And I'll tell you, you have assembled just an absolute wonderful volunteer team.
I'll tell you, Michael, when I was at the volunteer meeting yesterday talking to the team, we could have 100 race boats here.
Yeah.
We could have 100 race boats ready to go out and put on the most incredible show. But if we don't have the volunteer team, there's nothing. The Coast Guard would not let us go out and put a race on without the volunteer team. We wouldn't let ourselves put a race on because it would be unsafe. And I'm not just talking about the volunteers that are on the water today. I mean, we've got turn boats out there, we've got sweep boats, we've got dive teams, we've got medical teams. But I'm even talking about all the people in the A-lot, the wet pits, who manage the traffic, the guys who are working the crane. And that's another sponsor I want to talk about, Crane Z, Cranes with a Z, out of Williamstown, New Jersey. They found out that this race was dedicated to the veterans.
Yes.
They gave us the crane for free.
Yeah,
for
there
all
was an
three
issue
races.
Initially, there was a technical.
Yep. And now we just take care of we take care of the operator, but the crane themselves, they went ahead and donated to us. They had a crane break on Friday.
Yeah.
As you said.
Yep.
It was a little surprise. But they said the crane twice the size now.
Yeah.
So now the big Miss Geico, the 50-foot cat, that crane can pick that thing up like it was a toy.
Yeah. And it will. And it'll be putting it in order shortly because they'll be racing this afternoon.
Here we go, Class 7 coming back around. A lot of air being caught up there in the northern turn. A lot of air. Whoa, look at that. Just saw a typhoon grab some huge air. It was one of those big holes in the water that you don't expect.
And that comes from the rollers.
Another thing we'd like to mention here is that we've got a front viewing spot right here at Race Control, and where we're broadcasting from. And this is at what used to be called the Caesars Pier. It is now it was purchased by Bart Blatstein last year from Caesars. He's now operating this facility. They have work crews here that have been working on it like crazy, and the new name is going to be called the Playground.
Going to be an awesome place for Atlantic City, I'll tell you.
Michael, they're doing a grand opening here next Thursday. Are you going to be here?
Yes, I'll be here.
Can I ride your coattails?
Okay, I'll get you in.
But I mean, all the renderings I saw, everything. I mean,
wonderful.
The Tower Development Group with Bart Blatstein, they are going to turn. I mean, this was a great property. Don't get me wrong,
right.
But they are taking it. This property is on steroids now.
Absolutely.
I mean, what I see is going on inside with the new bars, the new restaurants. They're going to have tons of entertainment. I understand Phase 2. They're actually going to have a beach playground out there.
Beach playground with a pool, a bar, stage. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. I mean, with Atlantic City getting the bad press, I don't think we can give them enough good press because there are so many good things about Atlantic City. I mean, we mentioned Golden Nugget. We're mentioning the pier. Boardwalk Hall, phenomenal shows at Boardwalk Hall. Up and down the boardwalk, they put the new digital TVs just to let everybody know what's going on along the boardwalk and inside the buildings and the festivities that happen here, not only just in the summer, but 12 months a year, there's something going on in Atlantic City. So, got to get here. People watching this on YouTube from wherever you're watching it from, you got to visit Atlantic City. Atlantic City is not what it appears to be bad in the press. It is a gorgeous town, gorgeous beaches, great ocean, and festivities like this offshore race.
I'll tell you, I just met Glenn Straub last week, the gentleman who purchased the Rebel property.
Yeah.
And I went up and introduced myself to him, and I started mentioning about the offshore race. He turned to me and goes, yeah, I heard there was that offshore race going on. So hopefully, I guess we're doing our job and getting the word out and letting people know that there was a race going on. And I wish Tim well with his endeavors there, and hopefully he's going to do something really great with that property.
All right, Tony, bring us back up to speed. Who's in the lead on these classes here?
Completely lost track of that. I was trying to get over to Race Control, but
Saros is still leading in
class 4. I'm
Saros,
reasonably sure
yep.
RU Faster is leading in class 5.
That is correct.
And I also think that Typhoon is well ahead in Super V Light.
We've got a red flag. We have red flag. Okay, we've got a red flag out. We've got a red flag out on the course, which means we go ahead and bring the race to immediate stop. There might have been a little spin out or something that happened with one of the race boats. So to ensure everyone's safety, we go to a red flag, and red flag means all the race boats stop right where they are, and then they go ahead, we address the situation that's going on in the course, and then we'll bring the pace boats back out and do a restart. But it's better to err on the side of caution shut things down momentarily, take a look, see if we need to help anyone out, and then get things back on track.
I'm not seeing where on the race course this might be.
I think, from where I can see, I think possibly the northern turn.
Yeah.
Possibly northern turn.
I didn't see, try and get our medical director's attention if I can.
We've got the red flag out. We see on the start-finish boat. Hopefully these teams that are coming by will see.
I think you've got your leaders there, and that's probably why they're coming off plane.
Yep, now they're coming off plane. Now they see the red flags
They see
up.
the red flag coming off plane. It's, are you faster?
Gentlemen, I'm just going to step away for a minute and see if I can get an idea of what's going on. Be right.
We'll take this time to thank again some of our sponsors. The Atlantic City Veterans Offshore Grand Prix is presented by Geico, along with the Golden Nugget Casino and Marina, DoAC, the Atlantic City Sports Commission, Exit82.com, Waypoint 622 Restaurant, Hoffman Marina, Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, a big presenter of this broadcast.
That
we
is
thank them for that.
That is a huge Atlantic County Harley-Davidson location over on Route 30 in Galloway. Tony, if you've ever ridden a motorcycle.
I have.
Okay. And if you've ever ridden a Harley.
I have.
Okay. You're going to want to visit that showroom. That
we
is one
drove
of
by it the other day, and it's a gorgeous facility.
That is one of the largest, first of all, in the entire area. He services the entire South Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania area, and it's got every model in stock ready for delivery. He hosts bike and Harley nights all through the year, and he's just a great guy in the community. Helps out Golden Nugget. He helps us out with many of our radio broadcast promotions.
Yeah, absolute gorgeous.
It's a great
facility.
guy to have along here this year.
All right, guys,
time.
I got a little inside word on what happened here. Our Ed Smith, also known as Smitty, which is the president of the OPA, the sanctioning body that we're running under, he decided to go ahead and call a red flag on the race because all the teams really had enough laps, and there were clear leaders in the leaderboard, and for safety's sake and for the sake of the equipment, he said, you know what, the racers have done enough racing for this race, especially with these being the smaller boats, that he said it's okay to end the race right now, and then we'll step up and we'll have the second race with the much bigger boats.
We had a clearly established leader in each class,
clearly,
just to clarify.
Yes, we did.
And so as a result, rather than beat up the racers, and rather than more importantly, rather than beat up the equipment, because the racers don't mind if they get a little sore, but they don't want to replace parts and pieces. So the decision was made to call the race early because of conditions, and again because there was a very clearly established leader in each class.
Correct.
That goes to the sportsmen's in the mentality of these drivers, the sportsmen in them. They know that it's a clear-cut winner, let's call it for safety reasons, and that's it. There's no hard feelings between any of the racers or anything, so the one guy calls it, boom.
Well, talking to Charlie Marks yesterday, who raced in the late 80s and early 90s, I asked him, the difference between the sport then and the sport now, and he said, of course, the technology, but what impressed him was what was the same about the sport.
Yep.
And what he says was the same about the sport is the family and the community, the family atmosphere, and just that. In the pits, somebody needs something, a part or a piece or a tool, or an extra hand. These men and women are right there for each other.
Because all the teams really had enough laps.
They want the field.
You know what? And to talk about family, I want to take this moment for just my own little selfish plug. Back in 1976 was my very first offshore boat race. And my dad took me to Point Pleasant, New Jersey for the Benihana Offshore Grand Prix. And we then subsequently...
We got a quick shot of a boat coming out of the water if you want to talk about it. Coming out of the water. Look at the monitor.
Oh, looking at the monitor, what do we have on the monitor here that we're going to see?
I can't see it.
I can't see it either.
Yeah, no.
Replay, standby replay. Rolling replay.
Rolling replay.
It looks like it, but is that typhoon or is that are you fast enough? It's very difficult.
Very difficult to see out here with the sun.
It looks like it could be. Are you fast? I can't tell. I can't even tell if it's a canopy.
But getting back to what I was saying is that, my dad and I volunteered for our first offshore race in 1980 together, and I volunteered with him. And my father was water operations director for the Benihana races for many years. Then I think I had gotten involved as a director of New Jersey Offshore Racing Association, probably like in the early 90s, and never did I ever imagine that I'd be blessed to be where I am today, actually producing an offshore powerboat race. And you know what? My dad, he was my inspiration. My dad turned me on to offshore racing. And really, I have to thank him. And like I was saying before, I never believed that I'd be in this spot today. One of the key people of this whole team that puts together this race. And Dad, I know it's Father's Day, and I just want to say thank you. I love you, and you know what? Thank you for this gift of turning me on to offshore powerboat racing. And talking about family, I just
absolutely
just
Perfect
it's absolutely
segue
awesome.
to say Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day,
Dads
Dad,
out there.
because I know Dad's home watching with Mom, and I just wanted to say thanks for this opportunity, because you know what, Dad, you changed my life forever, and I love you for it.
And it hits on there's a very great tradition of offshore racing here in New Jersey. And do some in close for the crowds to see, but it was truly offshore racing where you get beat up. You needed a navigator to know where you were going because you lose sight of shore that far out. It was a whole different type of racing. You had 3 people in these open canopied boats. As I said, one was a navigator because you needed one to get out there and to come back, and there were buoy points along the way. What we're seeing right now is they're going to show some replays, and one of the reasons that we bring the races inshore now is just this television coverage and spectator ability. So as you're watching replays from Norwich, you'll see some of these boats.
Guys, because he switched to me.
Is it difficult for the racers and the drivers in general, when they do get air, they lose their sight line of the horizon? So how does it vary from boat to boat, the different styles of boats, from the boats today, the boats yesteryear? I mean, as far as sight lines go, I would imagine when you're up in the air, you're looking at the sky.
Well, with the boats when they're running, they try to keep them trimmed out of the air. They play with, they have these extended trim tabs, and if you do a little bit of positive tab and you keep the boat trimmed right, you can actually sail. Instead of doing the sailing off the wave where the bow comes up high, they try to run as flat as possible, because that just gives them means they're going to re-enter the water that much quicker, which means the props are going to lock up in the water and they're going to go that much faster.
And it helps their sight line get that horizon back there. Okay.
Yeah. But you know what, guys, would we like to bring up Charlie Marks?
I think we should.
I think this would be a great opportunity to bring Charlie up, and Charlie is just, like I say, this is the first time I actually met him face to face and talked to him. I've watched him race back in the day, but he's just a phenomenal gentleman.
And Charlie was involved in the late 80s, early 90s when guys like Don Johnson and Chuck Norris were also racing offshore. And they had they got a lot of attention. Charlie is the first African American offshore racer. I got a lot of attention that way too. It was certainly a different time, which we'll let him talk about. Welcome, Mr. Marks. Good to see you, sir.
Charlie, it is an honor. Step right up here.
So
here we go.
Get on this tape right here so we can let people see you. Charlie, you raced from '89 to '92, right?
Right.
And tell us about the boat you're in.
It was a 48-foot Cougar Cat, 4 1,000 horsepower engines, and we just ran up on top all the time.
Because of the size of the boat? Because we were just talking about that.
Yeah, the size of the boat. And as I said this morning, you have these crazies out here racing. These guys have more nerve. I'm telling you.
Because of the size of the boat?
Because of the size of the boat, and they're out there running just like There's nothing to it.
One of the things Michael kept asking about was how much of a pounding they take out there. And even though you had a bigger boat and you ran on top all the time, talk about how brutal it is out there.
Running on top for us really wasn't that brutal, because I had Bobby Moore. And so our thing was to run from top to top. Now, if he ever missed one, Katie by the door. Like you prayed to God last night.
Yes, sir. I sure did.
I prayed to God every race that we wouldn't miss one.
We talked a little bit yesterday, but and share with the folks. You guys truly ran offshore. This is more stadium racing. We're in close here. Tell us about the difference.
The difference is that the concept or the theory behind it was that it would make it more exciting for the fans. But for years, the fans really enjoyed it, and it was further out. And so to really say that it's offshore racing and you're racing inshore, it's kind of a misnomer. When we ran here, Bobby always ran on the shore because it was smooth. And it was only when we got to the turn and we had to go back north that we actually ran in the rough stuff. Well, I mean, if you figure that you're 30 to 40 miles offshore and it's all rough stuff, 10 to 12 footers, then that makes a lot of difference. And in the race that I was running, we were running north, and there were 12 to 14 foot holes. And we jumped one as we were passing Don Johnson, and I could see under Johnson's boat. He was that much higher than we were. And I'm saying, God, I hope he doesn't miss that. And lucky for him, he did.
Hey, those were pretty heady days in the sport, right? I mean, with Don Johnson and Chuck Norris, and there were a number of celebrities, if you will, in the sport. Did that help the sport or hinder the sport, Eddie, do you think?
It helped the sport. It drew that much needed attention. People that wouldn't ordinarily give a rat's tail about, boat racing, like Don Johnson, or they like Chuck Norris, or they like, Kurt Russell. So it drew that other element in it. And then, like I told you, I jumped on the bandwagon and said, I'm black, what you going to do? Give me some of that attention.
You said something interesting to me yesterday. You said there's not once you woke up in the morning and looked in the mirror and thought of yourself as black. And talk about the way you were received in the sport among the racers.
The racers, which I said this morning, is a unique group of people. They all consider themselves racers. They don't differentiate. And so while I didn't have to look in the mirror and say, my God, I'm black, I didn't have to look at the other racers and say, my God, I'm black. They accepted me for what I was. I was racing that white boat that was beating everyone. That's all.
And you had no graphics. It was just all white, and it said Eric's Reality.
Yes.
Now, tell us, where did the name Eric's Reality come from?
I have two sons. My youngest son, Sean, was a dreamer. So I had a 38-foot cigarette, and I called it Sean's Dream. My oldest son, Eric, was a realist. He dealt in reality. So I called it Eric's Reality. And Rich Lur called it Eric's Realty. And I had to keep telling him, it's reality, Rich, it's reality, Rich, not realty.
It's the same. Rich couldn't be here. He was here last year doing race commentary. It's a shame he couldn't be here today. I'd love to listen to the two of you talk stories from back then.
Rich was the best. Rich was the best.
And still is. He did a fine job calling the race last year. And it's the history and perspective that he brings, not unlike yourself, but having called races for decades like that, he brings a lot of interesting perspective to the broadcast.
And see, Rich had that insight and a good copper or a good palate, and so he went looking and he knew what to look for, and that's what made it so exciking. And
especially the play-by-play that Rich used to give, hanging out of the helicopter with the doors open at 100 miles an hour, 200 feet off the deck, of the water, chasing you guys.
People couldn't understand why one side of Rich's mustache was brown and the other side was white. When he was hanging out that copter, that side turned white. That's how he got that two-tone mustache.
Absolutely. And you were also talking about the family nature of the sport. I mean, within the pits and within the racing community, it really is a big family.
It is, and I often told people that it was like being in a war. When you're in that foxhole, you only care about the guy next to you. You don't care what he looks like, who he is, you are in it together. And that's the same concept and the same mentality that both racers have. And I'll maintain and say it right now. The world needs more boat racers out there. It'd be a hell of a lot better place if everybody thought like boat racers.
In terms of the attitude.
In terms of the
perspective,
attitude towards people, and yeah, it would be a lot better.
The technology has obviously changed pretty dramatically since you were racing, and probably the biggest change is the advent of canopied boats and the enclosed boats and being on an oxygen system. Being old school, talk to me about that. What do you see as the difference between the two types, an open cockpit boat and a canopied boat?
Bobby Moore.
And explain.
We didn't need an open canopy. I've told people before, Bobby was a sniper in Vietnam. Bobby had 100 eyesight. We would be running at 110 mile, or I say 100 mile an hour, and Bobby would spot the next marker at least 5 to 7 seconds before I did. He was that good. He was thinking all the time about, what am I going to do next? And in the first race, like I told you, yesterday, when we came down to that first turn, and this is my first race now, and I went so wide. Bobby hollered, "Charlie, this is no time for you to get homesick and lay a rum line to Africa. Turn the damn boat north." So I turned the boat north. So that's the kind of guy that he was. And GPS, he didn't need it.
Right.
He could see that well. So
that's pretty awesome. That really is. And Bobby Moore, is a legend in the sport, as you are. And I know you won't say it, you are, because I know you said you're being so humble coming here, and you're thanking me and everybody else that has invited you. Charlie, as you talked about, with the racers and the family and how good the offshore racers are, it's an honor to stand here and be next to you, and just to hear your stories. And I said, I was a fan back then. I volunteered for some of the races. I watched you race, but I never got to meet you. But the one thing that you always gave off, no matter in the interviews that you did back then, or when you were coming into the pits and with your checkered flag, you were always humble. You're always humble. You've always been a gentleman. And I'll tell you, I just cannot thank you enough for coming here and sharing that with us.
Actually, I want to bring something up along those lines, because we talked a little bit about this yesterday, and for the other old racers I know, veteran racers who are out there listening this afternoon, you said there was one time when you weren't so humble, and you kind of went after Al Copeland when you got into the sport. Yeah. Maybe you could share that story with the audience, because it's
I learned from that mistake. You don't get to the top by stepping on people. And when I first came in, I was Muhammad Ali, and I stepped on Al. But Al was man enough. It took him maybe a month to get over it. After me eating a lot of humble pie joints, apologizing and telling him, "Al, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, blah, 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 blah." And he was gracious about it. But now the day that I won, Al was not gracious. I mean, every name you could think of, Al was it.
And that was here in Atlantic City, right?
Was here in Atlantic City.
The first race here in Atlantic City in 1989. What did when you pulled into town this week? I mean, what kind of memories came back to your head?
The roar of the engines and going north. Jumping those waves. I've watched that video so many times. And Rich Lohr says Al Copeland is having a problem, and here it comes behind him. Charlie Marks. Yeah, he didn't put no other name on me. Charlie Marks.
Charlie Marks.
And when I jumped past Al, that's a memory that will always live with me. And Al said he broke down. He didn't break till after I passed him. Then he broke down trying to catch it.
So see, some things never change in boat racing in that regard. That's tremendous. Do you miss it at all, Charlie?
I miss the sound of the engines. Winning was fine, but winning wasn't everything to me. It's getting in that boat, turning on those engines, and going out to the milling area. And that noise, I will never forget it. I will always remember it. And that's what I got most out of boat racing. It wasn't winning that I got a lot out of. Winning gave me a lot, but I didn't get a lot out of it. I got mine out of that noise. I'm paying for it now because I can't have here.
Right. I think anybody who's been around the sport for any number of years suffers from the same thing. That's what I'm blaming it
just
on.
to the
anyway.
point, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of it, and I enjoyed all of the other races. One thing I'd like to say in closing is the expansion of things that happen. If the boat racers were good to me, it didn't stop with the racers. It went to the fans. They also acknowledged what the boat racers were saying. Because here again, the boat racers were saying, that guy in that big white boat. And so who is the guy in the big? Charlie Marks. You know, the media was the one that put the other titles on me. And I took advantage of it. Of course I did.
Absolutely.
You know. But my main concern was, what did the racers think about me? And what did the fans think about me? So I wasn't only accepted by the racers, I was accepted by the people that came to the race and watched the race.
Well, and I think it's important too to mention your children are trying to get your story out there a little bit more. You've got a Facebook page, right? Charlie Marks. Sure. So we want to encourage everybody to check out your Facebook page. It's Charlie Marks, right? And it's on Facebook. You should get out there. If you're familiar with Charlie from back in the day, relive some memories. If you're not familiar, then get familiar, because you should be. Charlie, thanks so much for coming out and joining us. We're so glad you're here this weekend.
Thank you so much
It's
for
been a whole
sticking
lot of
around.
fun.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a little break here in between races, and we're looking forward to the start of race number 2. Coming up shortly, folks. Stay tuned. Stay on the channel. We got our internet connection problems fixed, and we're coming to you here live from Atlantic City at the end of the new playground pier for the Playground to be debuted this coming Thursday and Friday. Talk to you soon, folks.
Two things. They're going to run sponsor stuff on the screen.
Good.
That guy's
Just make sure when you put your things down that you're off. Yeah.
Try living off the straight and narrow. Try living off the straight and narrow. Try living off the straight and narrow.
he has to make sure every single thing is perfect. Like, I'm still waiting for pictures that he supposedly took of us last weekend. He's not posting that yet because he has to make sure it's perfect before Jim sees it. You know, it's like his actual pictures from like about 3 weeks ago. It took him like 4 days to go through Photoshop and all that stuff because make sure Jim, you know. That's the thing. He has to make sure it's Jim approved.
Well, here's the you know, out of the blue, all of a sudden you're private photography. You know, then why would you call Jim and a couple other people to ask how to set your camera up? If you're a photographer, you should already know that.
Exactly. If you're gonna call yourself a photographer, you should already know.
Exactly.
Jim,
that's why there is no photography in his name.
Right. Right, exactly.
If I know how to use the camera.
Right. It was just for me. I mean, I know the basics of it. I don't.
It just is what it is. It's, you know, it's trying to cut like. It's like I told
Fucking
Jim.
Jim is amazing though with his airplane.
Well, when you're shooting with an 800 and you have a steady, if you have a steady platform to shoot from, like he has, the kind of pictures you're gonna get. You know. It's like if you know Charlie.
Charlie shoots right next to us.
Yeah. Charlie does some amazing stuff.
Yeah, Charlie did. Restaurant, and then he was like, "Where are you?" Where? So I think he left you guys and barbecue spot. He came down, got a ride down with his grill, came over to our restaurant, right?
Like I said, it's, you know, he's just been at for a while. I always look at
Try living off the straight and narrow. Try living off the straight and narrow. Try living off the straight and narrow.
One, two, one. Oh, jeez, that's really loud.
You motherfucker, you motherfucker, I ought to fucking throw you right off this thing. Careful. Watch your language. You're alive, man. That's a case direction. I want to see how it sounds. Yeah, what's it do? They're gonna race sometime today.
Try living off the straight and narrow.
Hey, hey.
Yes. David?
Still 5,700 degrees Kelvin, right, Nick? Say 5,700 in there? 57, yeah. My comm is down. What? It's going down. Oh, yeah, it always does. Yeah, the switch is like, you gotta mess with the switch. Yeah, but it's just pumping pretty hard. Yeah. Check. Check. You want me to tell the commentator? Are we, how far away are we? Are we ready to roll?
Yeah, we
Yes,
want to
we
do
are.
it. When you tell us, cue us when we're going live, and we'll recap.
It's like, freaking, the sun and, Uranus, which was the other freaking thing, I mean, these guys are just first class. Yo, man, get that big ass out of my way. What, you think you're cool with that shirt or something? You think you're cool with that shirt? Yeah? If you want, I'll hook you up with the guy who supplies me my shirt.
Yeah, I like his material better, though.
Aaron, this is,
Hey, Aaron.
James.
Nice to meet you.
Aaron does the shirts. He did our shirts.
Oh, can we get this material next time? Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, thanks for everything, man.
Our 3 shot?
Sure. Okay, that's fine. So we'll talk over the replay.
All right. Quiet on the set.
Welcome back to Atlantic City, New Jersey, the Roar on the Shore, the 2015 Veterans Atlantic City Offshore Grand Prix. Tony Esposito along with Dave Patnoid and Michael James, bringing you all of the race action, a quick recap from the first race, unofficial results, of course, unofficial results. You'll be watching some replays as we recap. So in the first race, the Super V Light class, we have the unofficial winner, number 29, Typhoon Racing. Second place, number 13, Weehall Boats. Third place, LS Speed Racing, the number 3 boat. Looking at Class 4, the winner for the second year in a row here in Atlantic City, the 441 boat, Saris Racing, Jason and Johnny Saris. The second place boat, 467 Velocity Racing. We go down to Class 5. Pretty amazing story here. The 518 boat. Ed and EJ and Rick Solomon, the father-son team, 518. Are You Faster? Won the first place in Class 5. Their very first offshore race was here in Atlantic City last year. They finished on the podium at 3rd. Okay, and then the second place 505 boat was Cisco. Third place, repeat offender, the 539 boat. Wazop 2, number 4, 513 boat. And then 5th place was Reinforcer. 6th place was All Fired Up, the 533 boat. And 7th place, Ultimate Ride, 555, finished 9th. That's pushing 10. So we're getting ready to start the second race. We'll have another 3 classes running in this second race. We'll have Class 6, Class 3, Class 2, and the Extreme class, and that's actually 4 classes. Now, you'll hear and see this wind that we're experiencing. The first race was cut short because of there were clear established leaders in all 3 races. There wasn't any chance for anybody overtaking the lead boats, and to save the racers and to save equipment, race directors decided to call the race short. And going into the second race, we've already reestablished the lap count. They're going to reduce that because there are like 3 to 5s out here. The wind is blowing. It's pretty snotty. We always aim for safety first. So we're reducing the lap count. Essentially, Class 6 will be running 5 laps down from 7, so that's a reduction of 2. All of the other classes are going to go from 10 laps to 7 laps. We'll tell you quickly about those classes if you want, Dave. Class 6 are open cockpit boats, 26 feet. They have a 70-mile-per-hour speed limit max. They cannot exceed 70 miles an hour. That's measured by GPS. Class 3, it's an unlimited. It can be canopy or open of any length. Class 3 is a 95-mile-an-hour class. Class 2, also unlimited. They're a 105-mile-an-hour class. So again, they can't exceed 105 miles an hour. And then extreme class, those are canopied boats, 40 to 50 feet in length, unlimited speed, and those are turbine or piston-powered engines. And I think the boat we're going to see today, of course, is the one everybody waits to see at almost every offshore race, and that's the Miss Geico catamaran running turbines. And also, too, Geico and Miss Geico instrumental in bringing us this whole weekend of activities here on the Jersey Shore.
Actually, the boat that we have here with Miss Geico today is twin Mercury Racing 1850s they're running. They run the piston-powered boat. The boat has been running flawlessly. It ran up in Seaside Heights a few weeks ago here in Jersey as part of the first race. Ran really well. Scott Begovich is the throttleman, and Scotty is a Jersey boy. This is home for Scotty B. Scotty B, born and raised in the Jersey Shore. Got into offshore racing. Got connected with the originally what was known as the AMF offshore racing team, which is now known as the Miss Geico team, and probably one of the most recognizable faces on the offshore circuit today.
Speaking of recognizable, the boats are off to our left, north of us here on the pier, and they're arriving.
I believe we're going to get a parade lap done in front of us to kind of take them out and show them the course. Then they'll come back and into the milling area, start a mill, and then we will get our races underway.
And there will be 4 separate starts for each class. There'll be 4 separate starts for each, or a separate start for each class. They'll mill in the area, move around behind their pace boat. Each one will go out first. The fastest boat's going out first.
This has been a spectacular day. Race 1 was exciting. This will be even more exciting because it seems like the wind has picked up a bit, Tony.
More than a bit. The wind's picked up.
Great surfing. Great surfing day.
And it feels wonderful. The breeze here at the end of the playground pier, where we have race control and our broadcast site. We'll be seeing the parade lap coming into the shot any moment now, if you're probably looking at that already.
I'll tell you, I spoke to some of the construction guys inside when I went to go grab a Gatorade, and they told me some of the things that are going on here for next week. I tell you, if anybody's in Atlantic City next weekend, or going to be even within a driving distance away, come into AC next weekend and experience the new playground here, because it is going to be off the hook.
It is absolutely going to be a great place. Just to mention, though, I talked to one of the workers myself. Said the restaurants are remaining open. Most of those are remaining open. Some of the stores are remaining open, including the Apple store and I believe the Tiffany store. My wife is happy,
which is
about
very
that.
important to
yes,
your wife.
Yes, she's very happy to hear that. But the amenities that are going to be added to this place is absolutely phenomenal. We talked about the plans. We saw the plans.
And you know what's just not phenomenal? The record time that they're getting this done. I mean, Michael, I was here a couple months ago, and and they had just started covering up the old fountain. But my God, I mean, this place is transformed into
Fountain
something
is no more.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I cannot wait to come and have either lunch or dinner here next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a great entertainment complex in addition to all the other great things here in Atlantic City, including our friends over at Golden Nugget. Phenomenal place to see a concert over there, whether it's inside or outside. And here come the boats, folks, and look who's leading on the inside here closest to the beach there. That looks like a familiar boat to us.
Yeah, with those colors you can see that from about 100 miles away. The one and only Miss Geico. One boat that we have here that's making its debut for the first time ever in New Jersey, and also the first time they've ever run in ocean conditions, is the Bat Boat MTI. It's a Batman themed. It was originally a pleasure boat. Then the owner decided, he wanted to go in and just kind of do like a run with your brung race at Lake of the Ozarks last year. And he came out, he raced last year at Lake of the Ozarks, a couple of the other races that were Great Lakes races. Now, I come to find out I'm at the racers party on Friday night, and I'm talking to him, and he asks, so what's it like to race in the ocean?
Oh. Not a good question a day before the race, is it?
That's Elliot Gray
So,
and Jay Mueller.
so he's like, how do the waves go? So I brought Scotty Begovic over, introduced him to Scotty B, and Scotty B gave him a little bit of an idea. But they did go out and do some testing yesterday.
Yes.
So they got their feet wet, no pun intended, out here on the race course. And I was talking to them this morning at the drivers' meeting, and they said they were really excited to be here.
And clarification, they're lake racers, even though it's an offshore
Yes.
race circuit. We have races on on the Great Lakes and a lot of inshore lakes. And I think they're going to get a real lesson in ocean racing today because, again, we've got 3 to 5s out there, and it's pretty brutal up here on the deck with the wind. I can only imagine what it's like down there on the water.
I just got a text from some sailboat at the marina. Want to know when the sailboat class is going.
Dead last.
Good day.
It would be a great day for a sailboat race. It would be a great day. And you watch these planes going over with the banners they're pulling behind, and that's a good indication of what the wind's doing, at least aloft.
I'll tell you, talking about racing, let's talk a little bit about the Atlantic City Sports Commission. I mean, the Sports Commission partnered with us and bringing us back to Atlantic City this year. Jim Wood, who's the president and CEO, Dan Gallagher, Gary Musich, all the great folks there. They came, I saw some of the folks Friday night, they came over to the Racers Party. Jim Wood came over yesterday to check out the Wounded Warriors. And I went to a press conference that they held a couple weeks ago with the mayor in regards to all these new sporting events that they're bringing in there. There's a huge conference that's coming next year of just sporting event organizers, and they're going to have their convention here to see how cool Atlantic City is, and how awesome Atlantic City is to host. Whether it's a water-based event, whether it's a beach-based event, I mean, there's just so much here, and it's really exciting to see. And I'll tell you, I have never seen a team more pumped up than the Atlantic City Sports Commission team and the Meet AC folks.
Yeah, they bring a lot to the city, and the city offers a lot. In spite of, we talked about it earlier, we touched on it earlier about some of the bad press Atlantic City gets. I can say this not enough times. They don't get enough good press. So
Absolutely.
If we can help with that today,
Absolutely.
let's do it some more. In our background, Orwalk Hall, what a transformation some years ago of that place. They've hosted ice hockey games, concerts. The Who was just here.
I took a friend to go see the midget car racing, the little sprint cars.
I was in
there.
one of those
It was
years
awesome.
ago. I did
it
a
was
promo
awesome.
with one of those guys.
It was awesome.
I barely fit in the car. Tony, I barely fit in the car. Midget racing?
Yes, I'm with you.
I'm standing up, trust me. Big Dave here. You'd never fit in one of those, Dave.
No,
Glad you were watching.
You know what? I could probably get in, but I need a shoehorn to get out.
You'd never get out.
I mentioned again to some of our sponsors bringing us today, of course, Geico and the Golden Nugget Casino Marina, Do AC and Atlantic City Sports. We just mentioned, of course, Exit82.com, the Waypoint 622 Restaurant, Hoffman's Marina, Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, huge Harley-Davidson dealer here in New Jersey. The Sheraton Atlantic City, the Steel Pier, they helped us out a great deal yesterday also with the Wounded Warriors, hosting them and their families out there on the pier. The Tropicana and TR Hotels, Miss Geico, the team Miss Geico, Beachcombers, B-Blades Professional Propellers, and CWR Electronics.
And we want to make sure we give mention to the Wounded Warriors people that were involved with this weekend. If you're just joining us on our second half of the broadcast, just an amazing event yesterday, Dave, with the Wounded Warriors, their families, the rides on the boats, just tremendous.
It was fantastic, and the Warriors are such amazingly humble people. I mean, they fight for our freedom, they defend our freedom, and the sacrifices that them and their families make, and the smiles that we were able to put on people's faces yesterday was just absolutely awesome. And my cheerleader, my number one cheerleader, is Donna Ward over there at the Golden Nugget, and she's been involved in helping me with the Wounded Warrior event since year one. And yesterday she just said, you know what, I can't believe that it's so amazing, what we have done. I mean, from just a few families to all the families that we have now here, just fantastic.
We had 156 Warriors and their family members present yesterday afternoon. That was up from the previous 2 years.
Yeah.
And in talking to some of them, there's a buzz now among the Warriors here in New Jersey and in New York about this event. You might not find it hard to believe that a lot of the Warriors themselves are kind of adrenaline junkies.
Oh, absolutely.
And there are few things that provide the kind of adrenaline that going 80 miles an hour in an offshore boat or 90 miles an hour in an offshore boat will produce. The parade lap is moving down on the outside lap, now heading north. It's going to be a little rougher for them on that stretch of the race course, Dave.
Yeah, they're coming up right around the northern turn pretty soon. Pretty soon.
We have big seas out there.
Oh, and I see Gary Goodell out in the Geico Caveman cigarette. We see Gary out there. I believe he's got some VIPs and some press on board. Gary, one of the partners of the Miss Geico Offshore Racing Team, and you know Gary a little bit.
I know Gary a little bit, yes sir, I do, and I bet you there's a couple pretty ladies on that boat too. Because I do know Gary.
Yeah, Gary gave so many rides yesterday to the Wounded Warriors. If the boat had wheels, they would have fallen off.
Yeah, he would have had to pit 4 or 5 times for new rubber. But I'll tell you what, he is a trooper. He enjoys doing that. That's the fun thing about Gary Goodell. He enjoys doing that. I mean, if he could have done it till 10, 11 o'clock at night, he would have.
Absolutely.
Well, and actually, all of the boat captains yesterday said that we'll be here as long as it takes to make sure everybody gets
until
a ride.
everybody gets a ride.
If everybody wants to go on a single boat, then we'll get everybody out there to do it. And you know, it's important to know too that these people pay their own fuel to provide these rides, and it's not an inexpensive proposition for the boat captain. So it's. And the smiles on the captains' faces, as well as the Warriors and their family members, I think might even surpass the Warrior and their family's enjoyment.
You know what? One thing I would like to do is next year. We unfortunately couldn't do it this year, but is my mic on?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
You just got to get into it. The wind's blowing.
I would love to host an event during our race weekend here it's called One Ocean. And One Ocean is the property here that's giving us our internet feed that we're able to finally get up and running. And it is the most spectacular place to host a wedding, host a party. I took a tour of their facility last year.
Unbelievable.
And Michael, I mean, that's like, there's nothing better.
And I commented on one of the young ladies, Jessica, that helped us out this afternoon. I was in the back, we call it the back of house. And I've been in back of houses, every property in Atlantic City here for one reason or another. This was huge. I got lost. I don't usually do that, but I got lost. I had to get help to the elevator, but I did get lost. But we want to thank Sharky Images because he gets some fantastic shots of these boats and their drivers.
You know, a funny story I got to share is about Tim. Tim is our professional photographer, but he started out with us going back probably 15 years ago with a point and click. Coming around, you had a 28-foot checkmate, and he's coming around. You're like a tourist, you know, with a little point and click. And then, you know, he went out and I think the next year bought like a real camera, as we would call it, and you know, with the interchangeable lenses. And I think it was like year 3 or year 4. You know, he was really getting a knack for photography. And we were doing an event, and the folks at Marine Max said to us, you know what? We have a guy with a helicopter. If you have a photographer, you can put him up in a helicopter, take pictures of our raft up. But then he could take pictures of your boating event. So I called up Tim and said, Tim, I said, I got a gig for you tomorrow. He's like, oh, great, where am I going? I said, you ever been in a helicopter before? No. I said, well, you're going to be in a helicopter. I said, and bring your camera. He turned white. He turned white. The color, he's like, what do you mean? I said, I got all the faith in the world in you. You're going to be fine. He's like, what, but. I said, Tim, you're going to be fine. Well, what if my camera craps out? Well, what if this happens? I said, Tim, you're going to be fine. Now, Tim, all these years later, I can't tell you how much money he has invested.
He's still a tourist, but he has better equipment.
his wife doesn't really know how much his camera equipment costs. So I can't let that cat out of the bag, but let me tell you, it's a lot. But most importantly, his work now has been featured in every national magazine in regards to boating, in regards to performance boating. He now does a lot of nature photography and all. Tim works, has a regular day job, but the thing about him is that anything we need, the pictures that you folks saw on the slides and in between the two races, he has provided all that material to us, and just cannot thank him enough.
SharkyImages.com. You can go there and see pictures from today's race as early as this evening.
Yeah, and we've been showing some of them through the broadcast all day. We want to thank our friends at TommyProductions.com from Franklin, New Jersey. You can see some of those still images from Sharky Images.
And actually, the crew here that put together this thing, we had some technical difficulties early this morning. We did not have an internet connection, and I'm not exactly sure what they did, but they managed to find some internet somewhere.
Yeah.
and take it. And we've got, from what I'm hearing from my phone and various text messages, people are getting the signal just fine now. So we're really
Yep, and
thrilled
once
about
again,
that.
we'll thank TommyProductions.com for that. His crew has been absolutely phenomenal, technical, and even out here on the deck with us, with the people that are out here with us, making sure everybody's safe and getting all the shots.
And Michael, thank you so much for making that introduction for us to meet Tommy Productions. I mean, they have been, first class equipment, first class setup today. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, we got boats down there. I can't see through the big crowd now.
Right,
Dave.
no,
Dave,
that's
you're
what I was-
taller. Can you let
that's what I
us
was
know?
more commenting
We've got.
about.
It looks like we've got
making sure
the
that
first
sitting
start
where they're
is going to get underway here. I see the pace boat getting them all together in the mill. I think they're going to start coming down the chute.
And Dave, one more time for people who are just joining us for the second part of the broadcast, how the classes in each race work. I understand that they were going to do a storm course. Is that what
They have shortened up the course. They have shortened it up because of the sea conditions. Unfortunately we have some folks out there not feeling too good that are volunteers. That we did had to bring a few people in between races to. There's nothing worse than being sick out on a boat. And
Class 6 has been shortened from 7 laps to 5 laps, and all of the other classes are going from 10 laps to 7 laps, and it was agreed upon by race control between the two races. As the wind picked up and things got a little nastier out there, the boats that are turn boats and safety boats and everything that are anchored, they're bouncing around out there, and yeah, they did have a few casualties in terms of some seasickness.
Now,
here we go. We've got Miss Geico on the outside coming down the straightaway. We got Ed Smith, Smitty with Was Up. We've got the Bat Boat MTI on the inside of there.
It should be the.
And there goes Miss Geico taking off. Look at Miss Geico go.
We should get some pretty shots of her this afternoon with these conditions.
And that bat boat, that is so awesome.
That is a cool piece. That really is.
Again, that bat boat there in from Michigan and racing in the ocean for the very first time ever.
And now, you know what? These guys are right on the money. We've got the second start already underway. They're coming down the straightaway.
Now again, they race simultaneously, but they're in different classes.
So there's several races going on within a race.
They start the fast boats first, slowest boats last. And again, safety reasons.
Whoa, I just saw somebody. I just saw the complete underside of one of the boats.
But he saved it. Nice recovery.
I think he does need to check his shorts when he gets in, though.
Probably.
So can you see which class this is coming through now? I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3.
Let's see. We got class 2 and 3 coming down.
So they're coming down together.
Yep.
We've got
the bat boat all the way on the inside. We got boom shakalaka just crossed the start line.
And this is why we bring Dave. He's 6'4". He can see over everybody.
All these people. Class 6 are open canopy boats, 26 foot in length. They're 70-mile-per-hour boats, which means they cannot exceed 70 miles per hour. In these speed-regulated classes, there's a GPS unit on the boat. If they go over the top speed limit for their class, they get points taken away and eventually get disqualified, depending on how long and how far over the speed limit they've run.
Nobody out there writing tickets, though.
Nobody out there writing tickets, but when they get back to inspection, there'll be a ticket written.
And there's Miss Geico on the back straightaway.
All by
herself. All out by herself. Running it like a boss.
And they'll come out here and they'll get their points for the weekend, but really Gary Goodell and the group brings the boat out for show. People like to come and see that boat. It's famous and infamous, as is the crew, and people just enjoy seeing it, and they come out here to give the people what they want.
Absolutely.
They can see the Miss Geico at all the boat shows on the East Coast, New York, Philadelphia, here in Atlantic City. Just a wonderful, wonderful chance for not only grown-ups, but their kids to get up close to the boat, meet the driver, meet the crew, and get pictures with the Miss Geico.
I'll tell you, I do a lot of the boat show circuit with my regular business, and people still flock to the shows just to see the Miss Geico on display during the all-winter boat shows. They always give away one of the RC boats at every show. They usually have Scotty or Mark, they're signing autographs for people. They did the whole big tour this year with Paul Sr. From Orange County Choppers. Paul Sr. was a part of the Miss Geico team this winter. And they're working on some projects together that we will see soon, hopefully on the television screen.
Absolutely.
That's coming together.
talking about that soon too.
And here comes Miss Geico around the northern turn, coming around turn 4. Running flawlessly. We've got Ed and Anthony Smith in the Was Up, Super V. Chasing them back, chasing them right behind. I was down in Key West back in November, and if you're on the internet, you can easily find it. There's an amazing picture as the boats were coming into the harbor in Key West. The swells were very deceiving, and the boats, they literally stood the Miss Geico boat up on its stern. That, it was absolutely amazing.
That picture is making its rounds through the internet. I was talking to Big Scott, the throttle man, when that actually happened when I was down in Florida visiting him. And yeah, that boat wasn't too far from going over.
No, I mean, fortunately they recovered it.
Yes.
And a lot of the boats, there was some real carnage going on, but it was just amazing. Just amazing how they were able to recover that. And thank God nobody got hurt. But I was talking to Scotty B after the race. I said, Scotty, so did you see Jesus? He goes, I gotta tell you, in the boat, it didn't look that bad. He goes, not until I saw the picture afterwards. He goes, did I realize how far we stood it up?
Which is usually better off.
Yeah.
But guys, what's the key to bringing that boat down back into the water? Off the throttle? I mean, is it just luck?
It depends. I've seen guys throttle through that. I've seen guys come off the throttle. It depends absolutely on the variables you're talking about at that moment in that cockpit.
Right.
And really, I don't know that the captain could tell you exactly what they did.
Because it changes from each time, right?
And I've seen a couple of circumstances where the pilot has driven through what I was sure was going to be a blowover. These were in test conditions on Mercury's former Lake X, small freshwater lake, and in small bass boats. And asked afterwards, what did you do? And the answer I received was, I have no idea. But I said, I put it down. And it depends. It really does depend on what they're experiencing at the time. And when you have a lot of seat time, as most of these captains do, it's an instinct thing. You know the feel of your boat. You know your throttleman or your driver. You interact well together. You think for each other. You can finish each other's sentences. And as a result, it's just an instinctive and a reactionary thing. You do whatever you think at that moment you need to do.
So in other words, they make it up as they go along. Kind of like
we're doing right now.
Kind of like what we're doing right now, exactly.
Absolutely.
But their job's a little tougher than ours.
Oh, absolutely. And just a tad bit more dangerous. So it looks like now we have the class 2 and 3s coming around.
Whoa! Look at that air. Some beautiful, beautiful work.
And the roar of those motors are unbelievable. The power.
Still gives me goosebumps all the time.
Yeah.
Still gives me goosebumps.
We got our helicopter out there getting some aerials. Coast Guard's out there, Marine State Police. Just wonderful, wonderful people helping us out today. And the weather.
The weather has been spectacular.
Big Dave, what about this weather?
For people who didn't realize that at 6 o'clock this morning, it was absolutely pouring and you could not see.
Visibility was horrible.
Yeah, visibility was less than a quarter mile. It was absolutely pouring. It started breaking about 9, about 10, 11 o'clock. The sun came out and has burned off. And it's amazing because on Thursday we were thinking about what are we going to do on Sunday when we're not racing, because there was a 90% chance for rain. And some really bad storms did go through the area last night.
Yeah, a big storm came through, but it got pushed out real quick, and we're very thankful for that.
That boat coming up on the back straightaway, heading to turn 3. Looks like those guys are starting to get the real feel and starting to dial it in and really running that boat real nice. Just starting to push it. Yeah, I think the first lap they were running a little on the conservative side, but they really seem to be getting the hang of this.
And for anybody who didn't get a close-up of that bat boat, the mural on the side of it is Gotham City, right?
That paint job is $100,000.
Well, I can see why, but I saw it up close yesterday.
It's amazing.
And
it is absolutely beautiful.
Phenomenal. And the big bat wings.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Batman movies, and if they ever make another one, maybe they'll...
That I think was the Miami Boat Show boat for MTI back, I want to say 3-4 years ago. That was their showpiece. And here comes Miss Geico. Coming down. Look at this, guys. They've got the boat trimmed perfectly. They're running nice and even.
And they're so far
really
out in front,
nice.
They don't really have to push it as hard as they would normally.
Nope.
Now they're here putting on a show, and I think you'll see too as we get closer to the end, they may bring it in a little bit closer to the beach. They have a tendency to do that. I know they did that here last year, both they and Smitty kind of moved inside to give the folks on the beach a little closer view.
I'll tell you, the beach looks great today. I mean, look at all the people on the beach out here watching the race, enjoying the surf. Really, really everybody's having a good time.
Turned out to be a wonderful day.
Again, the major presenters for this are Geico, of course, the Golden Nugget Casino and Marina, and Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, responsible for bringing the broadcast.
Here comes What's Up, and What's Up's going to put a little show on for us. They're coming in close to the pier.
What's up?
What's up?
I need to watch, and again, since they don't have to worry too much about competition here, you'll see them put on a little bit of a show. You may see them take a little bit of air just to give the crowd something to see. You know that they normally under more difficult race conditions, a bigger race field for them, more competition.
Right.
You know, they
wouldn't do that.
Probably not be doing that quite as much.
Looks like the bat boat getting a little bit of air under a little chop there.
Sure does.
Oh.
Whoa.
And again,
that's something you don't want to do, right? A nosedive.
No. Yeah, becoming a submarine? No, that's not a good idea.
Not even for the bat boat.
Elliot Gray and Jay Mueller in the bat boat there that you're probably seeing now on your screen. Yesterday was the first time they ran the boat in the ocean or in practice. This is their first race in the ocean, and I'm sure they're having quite an experience.
Absolutely. And Jay's got tons of experience running in big water offshore. He was just recently ran with the Team WHM down at Cocoa Beach, and Cocoa Beach I think had 10 to 12s out there. I mean, it was just monstrous. And Jay is well experienced, many years of racing under his belt.
So I'm thinking that the next 6th class boat that comes around should be our leader.
I would think you're right.
Really lagging behind. Unfortunately, it's
slow and easy.
No binoculars, and my old eyes can't really make out the boat numbers anymore. So I'm kind of relying on you, Big Tall Dave.
This is why we bring the periscope. That's his
nickname.
Or
Jeffrey the giraffe.
So this should be our Class 6 leader.
This I believe is our Class 6 leader. I'm having a hard time seeing. Actually making the boat out.
Well, thankfully we have sunlight because we can't see our TV monitor.
Yes, that is
true. It'd be a different story. If we could see
that
monitor, it would mean we'd have really clouds and yucky weather. So we'll forego the monitor.
Absolutely.
We'll trust
there
the
goes your
periscope.
leader in Class 6, whoever that might be. Somebody at home will get figure that out for us. They'll be able to see it.
So again, for some of the people watching at home,
the Smith brothers going by.
Dave, when these racers start a team, what's involved other than getting involved like you did? Your dad took you when you were a youngster, but what if somebody starts, excuse me, in their 20s, 30s? If they get
I'll tell
involved?
you, a lot of people think that if you don't have a ton of money, that you can't get into offshore racing, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. The entry level for offshore racing today is Class 7. Class 7 is a 22-footer with a 250 outboard. You can pick up one of those boats easy on the used market easily for like $15,000-$20,000, and you can go racing. You can go race the same race course that the Miss Geico races, just on a much more of a budget.
Do they have racing schools for boats?
They
do for cars and motorcycles.
Up and here comes Miss Geico doing a buzz
here we go.
buzzing the pier. Look at
coming
this.
in real
Here
close.
we go.
There we go, buzzing the pier.
Big round of applause to Miss
saw that.
Geico, everybody.
They saw Schmitty come in, and they figured, okay, it's time to start putting on a show. We're going to give them some air, get it a little close, let people get pictures.
Very cool.
There are
Very
some
cool.
driving schools. There are individuals who run driving schools that they do for anybody, and not just racing, but anybody with a larger power boat.
Right.
You want to build your skills or your confidence in how your boat, or familiarize yourself with the boat. Trace Martin is one. There are several, and it's a good idea for anybody moving into a power boat or moving up significantly more than a couple of feet to run themselves through something like that. And there's also some insurance advantages to doing that too. Not unlike if you get a reduced auto insurance rate if your kid goes through driver's ed, you can very often get reduced boating insurance
Or
by
if you
going
get insured by
through
Geico.
Exactly.
And here comes What's Up Super V again, the team of father and son, Anthony and Ed Smith.
Just seems like seconds ago we were talking about Waza, and he's back around again.
And we got Boom Shakalaka just on the inside.
We've had one of the races, we watched some stuff right in front of us here, kind of, and they pulled off into the middle. I can't make out which boat it is, but I think they've taken themselves out of the running.
I think they're fishing.
They might be at this
Fishing's
point.
been good here in Atlantic City lately.
And here comes the bat boat down the straightaway. The bat boat themed MTI.
What a great broadcast viewpoint we have here up on the third observation deck of what was the pier at Caesars and now the playground. And Dave, man, I know we talked about it earlier. You can't wait to come back here and do some partying.
I have an engagement to go to next Saturday in New York City, unfortunately. But Friday night, I think I'm going to come down for the big grand opening. I'm going to come down and check this out because it's just, and I've always loved the pier here. I love the sushi restaurant here, Zuzai.
Yep.
Oh my God, sushi's great. And you know what? $1 million view.
Yeah.
The $1 million view while you eat sushi. I mean, you get a gorgeous view of the Atlantic City and Ventnor Beach here and the waters and the ocean. Fantastic.
And this is a great vantage point to be watching the race control up here, and of course our broadcast. It's hard to beat this kind of view.
It sure is.
You look to your right, you see all the beautiful Atlantic City properties and the beach, and you look out front and just gorgeous expanse of the ocean. We can pretty much see, if we didn't have all these people in front of us, we could pretty much see the entire race course from this vantage point.
And when we set up this race 3 years ago, we specifically designed it to be this small 2-mile straightaway. So this way it's from the northernmost casino property to the southernmost casino property, and just laps and laps and laps in front of the beach. And we went to try and put on the best show possible. Some people will say, oh well, this is a Golden Nugget event because you guys hosted out of the Golden Nugget, and that's really not true. I mean, all the properties here benefit from this event. I mean,
absolutely.
Yes, the Golden Nugget has the marina facility, but I know right now there's people at every property along this beach, enjoying either lunch or are going to have lunch after the race, and just really it's just spectacular viewing no matter what property you're at along here.
Speaking with Tom Pullman, the VP and General Manager at the Golden Nugget, he said this event could not be the size it was without all of the casinos participating
Absolutely.
in the entire city participating in the event, because the Golden Nugget couldn't house everybody.
No.
They do have the only marina. No one hotel could make this happen by themselves. To grow the event, to include the car show and the Wounded Warriors project, the race, the poker run, it really did involve the whole city, all of the casino properties, the folks at DUAC, and the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and of course the Atlantic City Sports Commission too.
Absolutely. They make available hundreds and hundreds of rooms in all the other casinos for racing's the families of the racers, the Wounded Warriors and their families. It's just an amazing. Tropicana, for instance, they have a new facade out on the boardwalk. They put this spectacular light show on every single night.
I have not seen that yet.
Yeah, it's a video wall. It's done to music. It's absolutely free to the public. You can go by and check that out any night. It's always going on.
The Tropicana, one of the secondary sponsors, we should go through too, along with the TR Hotel, Miss Geico Race Team, the Steel Pier, and I go to mention again, the Steel Pier hosted a bunch of Wounded Warriors and their families yesterday, provided them free day passes as well as food vouchers. It was very generous of them to do. The Sheraton Atlantic City, Beachcombers, B-Blades Professional Propellers, and CWR Electronics.
And also the Caesars properties here, the 3 Caesar properties. Steve Hahn, who I believe is their Vice President of Sales, he was gracious enough to help us with some last-minute staffing accommodations that we had coming in, because we had additional staff coming in for the Wounded Warrior project. And a big thank you to the Caesars properties. Again, 3 great properties: Caesars, Bally's, Harris.
And a big thank you to Atlantic County Harley, our broadcast partner. Without them, this broadcast would not be possible. Atlantic County Harley, Route 30 in Galloway, humongous humongous showroom.
I drive
Absolutely
past there all the
I was
time.
going to say, I said earlier, we
Spectacular.
drove past there on the way down, and it was absolutely gorgeous facility, and I can't wait to make a stop in there.
I have been dealing with Ben and Brenda, the owners of Atlantic County Harley, and their family for many, many years. They are a first-class operation. They once had a clothing store part of the walk. They closed that and moved it over to the showroom once the new showroom was built. It's multi-level. It's absolutely gorgeous. He has big hot rod and Harley nights out there. He does a lot of outdoor festivities, but we want to thank Ben and his crew at Atlantic County Harley in Galloway for making this broadcast possible.
And we got the Bat Boat coming down the straightaway, which I believe that's a brand new boat to just debut this year on the racing circuit. The green Bat Boat that you've seen in the previous race, that has been out for a couple of years racing now, but this new yellow one, this is their debut this year on 2015's OPA racing circuit. And I've been mentioning the OPA. That's another group of folks that we like to thank. I mean, the OPA is our sanctioning body that we as New Jersey Offshore Powerboat Racing Association run these races under. Ed Smith, Dee, Val, Frank, Augie, I mean, all that whole crew. We just cannot thank enough. I mean, those guys have been awesome. They are the sanctioning body of these races, and I'll tell you, we're very fortunate to have them based in Brick, New Jersey, because they're local. And Ed Smith gives me all the support I need whenever I need it in promoting these events. And if I need a race boat, he's more than happy to supply his boat to show off. And it's been a great relationship.
How far do these racers and teams travel to these different race events?
Well, this year the OPA circuit's a little, what I would say, a little crazy. They kicked off the first race at Lake of the. Actually, the first race was Seaside Heights, and the second race was Lake of the Ozarks out in Missouri. Then down back here in Atlantic City. Now I believe the next race is going to be Manasquan, which is our race coming up on July 10th. Off the beaches of Manasquan. Then they shoot out to the Lake Michigan for a race. Then they go to Massachusetts for a race. Then back to Lake Michigan. Then to Ocean City, Maryland. I mean, the race teams are covering a lot of ground this year. Miss Geico coming down the straightaway here in front of race control, taking it nice and easy, putting on a nice show for everyone. Those guys, Mark and Scotty, they run that boat so beautifully. I mean, that just runs absolutely flawlessly.
I think that should be the fourth lap. I'm not quite sure of my count. Again, they've got Class 6 going to run 5 laps. The other 3 classes running 7.
And we see Gary Goodell out in the Caveman Geico boat in the middle of the course, enjoying a front row seat, watching his team out there.
I see his white hair from here. Blowing in the wind.
Hey, who's the owner of the winning horse of the Triple Crown that just happened? It looks like Gary's brother.
It does look like Gary.
Looks like Gary's brother. So we got 5 laps.
Okay,
we're on 5 laps.
I was only off by 1. So
but who's counting?
5 laps, but who's counting?
Hey, you've been making fun of my my timing schedule for the last 3 or 4 days.
Yes,
so.
I have.
I won't bust on you too bad.
Hey, listen, Dave, I got to be honest with you. When you told me I was going to be working with Tony Esposito for the race,
sorry to disappoint.
I got excited. Being a big hockey fan, I thought it was a Chicago.
He was excited too. He said he thought he was working with Michael Jackson.
Right,
exactly.
And then I said it was James.
No, it's a pleasure to be out here with you guys. We got some sunscreen on earlier because we knew that the weather was going to cooperate, but I didn't think it would be this exciting up here and broadcasting with you guys. But thanks for inviting me. And
Michael, thank you.
Having a blast.
I mean, you are a permanent fixture here in Atlantic City between your billboard boat company, which is an awesome concept that runs up and down the beaches with digital advertising messages.
Yep.
You're on WZXL.
Absolutely. When the Phillies aren't
When
playing anyway. When the Phillies aren't losing.
You've been an on-air radio personality here forever.
Yeah, I've been in this market since the mid-'90s.
Yeah.
It's been a wonderful whirlwind tour. Probably a few more years in radio before I retire, but I think I might take up this TV thing. But as long as you keep me off camera, because I do have the face for radio.
But you look good in this fabulous shirt we got.
Thank you. These shirts are awesome. Sorry, I didn't get one, Tony.
Yes, no, I got
Oh,
one.
you did it? It's
I
on
got
your
one.
flagpole?
I wore mine earlier in the week because I believe in breathable fabric if I'm going to be outside.
Tony's got vents in the back.
That's
He's got
right.
wing vents.
I'm all about the function over form. I don't care how it looks. It's got to feel good to me.
Hey, listen, if we go over Bass Pro Shops, we
can get a couple of those
we can get a
shirts.
couple of those shirts that Tony's wearing.
All right, team maxed out from Maryland with Jim and his driver, Mikey Uwaski. Mikey Uwaski used to be up here. He would be in the broadcasting booth whenever the offshore races
I
were.
took his job?
Were brought. You did take his job.
Aw.
That's why the pay is not that good.
I'm sorry, man.
That's why the pay is not well. But
Maxed out finished second here last year.
But you know what?
In Atlantic
The
City.
pay may not be good, but the sandwiches that Chef Mike brought from
wonderful.
Chef Mike's ABG
Oh.
in Seaside Park. Oh my God! Everybody was going crazy over those sandwiches.
Good variety, good choice. Here's that bat boat again. That's just awesome to look at going through the water. It really is, and I hope they do make another movie and they use that.
That's an awesome piece.
If I make a call, what do you think, Tony?
They actually have that trimmed out pretty well.
They do. They're running it good.
Given that they've not run in these kind of seas before, maybe a little practice yesterday, they seem to dial that thing in just a little bit. Or are more comfortable anyway with running it.
This kind of running for your very first offshore race in the ocean.
Yeah.
This is baptism by fire for them.
Absolutely.
I mean, to come out here and run in these sea conditions, this can be challenging for the most seasoned veteran. Never mind someone who's never raced in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean.
Saw that one boat get a little bit of what do you call that? Full air. There was nothing touching the water. He was flying literally.
And here comes Miss Geico. We got the Boom Shakalaka and the yellow bat boat.
And Class 6 should be done now.
So is that the mini me of the bat boats?
Actually, those bat boats, Aki Mannerfeld designed, those were several years ago. There was a race lease program. You could basically show up at the race course day of, sign the paperwork, and race one of those boats. They're very forgiving.
Where do I sign up? Do they have that here? No?
They don't have that here. No, they're not doing it anymore, which is unfortunate because it seemed to be a fairly successful little program for the brief
Actually,
period of
Chris
time we had.
Randall, who now owns the bat boat company, he does have a leasing program. Matter of fact, I believe both boats that are out there are his lease customers. He runs it's like a boating experience out in Las Vegas, where corporate functions and things. They can
awesome.
kind of like how you go to a NASCAR track and you jump in a NASCAR, and do a lap or two. But it's the similar type thing. And, but it's a very, very, very unique design. Very unique design.
And a very forgiving design.
Yes.
And there's Gary Goodell out in the Geico Caveman, right in front of the broadcast area. And I do think he is fishing.
Knowing Gary, he's got the music blaring.
Yes.
He's dancing.
Yes. Somebody call him. He won't answer, but
he's putting on a show.
Yes, he is. Well, the whole Geico team puts on a show out
here.
This is unbelievable.
I mean, we're fortunate. We've got the Miss Geico team up here. We've got Gary Stray up here, who's talking to Scotty and Mark in the boat. He's the chief, if you want to call it, chief engineer for the team, the master rigger, the master engine builder, and he is what keeps that team running. And they have really been running flawlessly. And Geico went up against 6 other teams, I think it was, or 7 other teams in Key West back in November for the World Championship, and it was a battle. I mean, a hardcore battle between the teams.
This Geico team is now 8-time world champion.
8-time world champion. 8-time. And they
great
won
ambassadors for the sport.
Super
absolutely.
ambassadors. Super ambassadors. They really are.
I mean, I've watched this on TV when I was younger, and I've been a boater all my life, motorcycles, wave runners. But this, and I've never been out in the big one, but being out on that caveman boat and just doing the speeds that it does, I can't imagine what it's like to be in that big cat. Have you been in it, Dave?
You know what? I've been in the boat. I've sat in the boat, but I've never gone out on the water.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was a couple of years ago that Matt Lauer had gone out in another race team's boat, and I think he got up to I think 140, 150 on the Hudson River as part of the Today Show. So I think it was the next year. I believe Geico had taken out another morning show, And as they ran up the river, as soon as they got to 150, Matt Lauer's face popped up with a red circle and a slash going beep, 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 as in they beat Matt Lauer's speed.
Awesome.
It was pretty cool.
What do you got, Tony?
We're going to try and get some results from Class 6, which finished, and they'll have, in fact, we're getting those now. And Wazop has another lap to go, about a lap and a half, and I guess Strictly Business dropped out at one point earlier in the race.
And do you think that might have been mechanical, or was it speculation at this point?
It would be total speculation. I've got no information on it. I would say that it would be mechanical. I wouldn't expect them to drop out otherwise if they were able to run the boat. You always want to finish because you want to get your points. Okay, so these are unofficial results. It looks like first place in Class 6 is 677. Your gun. Second place, the Smith Brothers in the CRC boat, the 611 boat. And then maxed out the 626 boat, taking third unofficially in Class 6. Maxed out finished second here last year. Those are the top three finishers in Class 6. Again, unofficially. Your gun 667 or 677. Smith Brothers. Okay, and then 626 is maxed out. All right, so again, our unofficial results here now are 677, your gun. The second place finisher unofficially 611, the Smith Brothers, the CRC boat. And then maxed out, the 626 boat unofficially coming in third. Well, we were expecting a 90% chance of rain today, and you see all this glorious sunshine and this wind. The weather came through last night and moved out fairly quickly. Again, Thursday, Friday, we were trying to figure out what we might do on Sunday if we weren't racing. It's nothing less than a bit of a miracle that these races came off.
Absolutely. I'd tell you, last night, like I said, Michael and I were talking, and we weren't sure about this broadcast. We weren't sure about the race. And just miracles happened. And one thing I would like to mention is that part of how this whole Atlantic City race came together 3 years ago was with a dear friend, Reese Lewis, who is Miss Geico, who was known as Miss Geico. She was Gary Goodell's right-hand person in a lot of his business dealings, traveling, meetings and such. And Reese introduced me to Gary, and that's how Gary and I became friendly. We do some business together, but Gary has been a huge supporter of this race and this racing circuit. And very unexpectedly, we lost Reese back in November, very unexpectedly. And I honestly believe that her as our guardian angel today, she's looking down, and she had a lot to do with this spectacular day that we had.
Absolutely. We want to recap and once again thank Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, our primary broadcast partner here. The Atlantic City Roar at the Shore, the Veterans Offshore Grand Prix is presented by Geico with a lot of help from the Golden Nugget Casino and Marina, Do AC, Atlantic City Sports, Exit82.com, the Waypoint 622 Restaurant and Patio Bar, Hoffman's Marina, and also the Sheraton Atlantic City. The folks at the Steel Pier were a lot of help with the Wounded Warriors. The Tropicana Hotel, the TR Hotel, Team Miss Geico, Beachcombers, B-Blades Professional Propellers, and CWR Electronics.
And the Atlantic City Sports Commission. With those folks, this race would not be possible. I tell you, I'm so excited working with those folks. And I'm so excited that yesterday Jim Wood had already said to me, we need to talk about next year.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
that was even before today happened.
I just want to point out, anybody watching the TV still and saw the bat boat going the wrong way, the race is officially over.
Right,
so I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that. And the bat boat was going back to the Bat Cave. And Batman and Robin will be available for autographs later. Tony, Dave,
Michael James, we want to thank you for being up here with us.
It's been fantastic. Gentlemen, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Okay, Pat Noyd, we apologize to the OPA viewers who normally see their broadcast team of Ted Gannitti in here and doing a much better job than I'm sure that we did this afternoon at last minute. We really didn't think this was going to happen today, folks. So we didn't. So we were all surprised that this came off, and we're glad that we were able to bring it to you.
I wonder if
again.
Get a flyby. Is that what it's called?
I believe
a flyby
or
or
buzzing the
buzz
pier.
by?
Buzzing the pier.
Can we get that?
I think
think
he said we are.
I'm a huge Top Gun fan, so I was hoping that we could get
Permission to buzz the tower.
Yeah, can we do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
They are going to do
All
a
right,
flyby.
The helicopter is going to come by. Angel 1, and again,
all right.
Angel 1 is the helicopter. It has the rescue divers in it. Should anybody end up in the water or a boat go over, they drop divers in on top of them and make sure everybody's okay.
And as a race producer, that is the thing that I'm most happy about today. We had a safe race.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We had no incidents. We had no spin outs. No,
a couple of people got seasick, but
few people did get seasick, but we can't do anything about that.
It was a rough day. There's Angel 1 as you see them coming by. Absolutely. Again, we're talking about the rescue divers. That's the chopper that they work out of that you're seeing now. They'll have 2 divers on that boat, and usually a photographer, although I don't know if they had one today.
And I'm going to try to jump into the helicopter now that we're off camera from the pier as he comes by.
Just grab that rail there, and
everybody wave to him. Great job.
So we're going to wrap this up. We want to thank our production crew, and again for
Tommy Productions, first class operation.
TommyProductions.com.
Thank you so much. You folks have done a spectacular job. Brought the top shelf equipment, your CGI capabilities, and everything else in production. I just cannot thank you enough, and thank you so much.
I'd like to thank him personally for making me look a little skinnier. Thank you very much.
For Mike James and Dave Patnoid, my name's Tony Esposito. We hope to see you all out on the boardwalk this evening. Until next time.
And the award ceremony tonight is 6:30 on the deck at the Golden Nugget for anybody that'd like to come and see the awards being presented.
Happy Father's Day, everybody. We're good. All right. So for Dave Patnoid, I'm Tony Esposito, Michael James. We say Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there.
Absolutely.
Hope you enjoyed the racing. We'll see you all tonight at the party.
Awesome.
Woo.